The Kansas City Chiefs are the only remaining undefeated team in the NFL. I didn't make my sign today. Last season, just go ahead and insert the picture right up here if you don't mind, because Mahomes is my daddy. I should have learned my lesson. I've gotten my spanking, and I'll probably get one again before the season's out, because there's something about it that I just feel like it just can't hold up the test of time. We'll see. Patrick Mahomes, you can't ever doubt him. I never actually doubted him. I just thought this was the game that, if they had to lose one, this would be the one. Obviously, this is kind of shaking out to be the Bills and Dolphins situation. The Bills always own the Dolphins, no matter who plays, no matter if every starter is healthy or if they're not. They always find a way to win. The Chiefs are now like this against the 49ers. Shanahan has to be so pissed off today because he can't find a way. And I'm almost to the point, by the way, this is completely off script.
Please.
I think there's something that gets into your head rather than just Mahomes being magical. When you go up against the Chiefs and Andy Reid, something's in your head that makes you play different, like not as good, because there were some passes that Brock Purdy completely overshot to wide open guys, and not even being pressured, just missed Ayuk on a couple of throws. Ayuk dropped the ball in a perfectly placed over the shoulder pass, things that you just wouldn't see happen on any given Sunday. But when you go up against the Chiefs, something in the atmosphere changes. I don't know what it is. But do you see what I'm saying, though? It's more than just Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he put on a great performance. He always finds a way to win, but it's something different, man.
What you're saying is 100% fact, because we've seen it, but we saw it with the Patriots dynasty. We saw it with the Alabama dynasty in college. It's teams we're all human. We can't help it. Even if you say, it's just another team, you're going against the best, and you're judging yourself by the best. Even if, because we know the Chiefs' offense isn't what they were in 2018 and 19, but people still go into those games thinking, God, we might have to score 30 to beat Patrick Mahomes. Because on the other side, there's a guy that's going to do everything he can to win it, on top of having the best head coach in the league, and then combine that with the best defensive coordinator in the league, who gives you, let's just be honest, Spags owns Shanahan. Yeah. I mean, every time. Spags absolutely takes Shanahan to the woodhouse. Now, I know that Brock Purdy was terrible in this game, but it's because of what Spags is dialing up. You're right, though. It's that aura, and clearly the 49ers can't get over it. And I know the score was close most of this game, but just personally, I felt like the Chiefs kind of were in control the whole game. I never doubted they were going to lose it. It just felt like one team was superior to the other, even with all the injuries. The Chiefs lost Juju early, who's already like their fourth-string receiver. They had nobody. The 49ers, they lost Deebo Samuel because he was sick, and then ended up losing Ayuk. It was a defensive game, but the Chiefs just controlled it.
So, to that point, did the Chiefs actually win it, or did the 49ers squander it?
The Chiefs won it. Because to say a team squandered it is like they controlled most of the game, they were in a position to win, and they made a mistake or two. The 49ers never really put themselves in a firm position to win this football game because of the way Brock Purdy played, thanks to the defense. I mean, the defense was all after, or the Chiefs' defense was all after San Francisco. We know, this is the thing, I've been saying it for 2 years now. The Chiefs are a defensive football team. It is like the Belichick Patriots. Patrick Mahomes is still there to deliver in the moments you need him to, but it is a low-scoring, defensive, dominant, punch-you-in-the-mouth, physical football team. The 49ers could not run the ball. 14 carries for 58 yards for Jordan Mason. Brock Purdy, 17 for 31, 212 yards, 3 interceptions. It was just, he was getting blitzkrieged by all Spags' blitzes. Even when they weren't getting home, they were forcing him to get the ball quick. It was just domination. I feel like the Chiefs just dominated the football game.
Yeah, and there were certain plays that Brock Purdy connected with, like George Kittle down the sideline on just, it was kind of an underthrown ball, but Kittle made a play.
Right.
They did get a couple of, there was a drive where they had a couple of runs that Jordan Mason finally started opening up that defense a little bit, and then they went away from it. And then they just started throwing the ball again. So I don't know what that was about, but I feel like if the 49ers, if they were able to turn Patrick Mahomes over twice, you have to capitalize on that. You could have put yourself in a position to be 2 scores ahead off of those 2 turnovers. And you didn't. You didn't capitalize.
No,
Now,
absolutely. So to your point, let's look at their drive chart real quick and then continue your point. So this is the 49ers drive chart, and it's a tale of two halves, but you just see mistakes. So the first half, Ryan, punt, 3 plays. Next drive, first play, interception. And then another 3 and out and a punt. 4 plays and a field goal, 3 and out punt, 4 plays and punt, and then a 9-play drive for a field goal here in the first half. Second half, you come out, go 7 plays for a touchdown, and then 7 plays, so you're driving, interception. 9 plays, interception, and then that last drive that was, kind of at the end of the game for a touchdown. But as you see in the second half, they started driving. 7 plays, 23 yards, 7 plays, 46, 9, 65, 8, 65. The problem, those 2 interceptions there in the second half, the defense stepped up. So the 49ers did start to find a rhythm in just actually moving the ball downfield, but they couldn't finish drives, which has kind of been the Achilles heel for the 49ers all season.
So this brings me to another point of topic, which is surrounding the Chiefs. They went into this game as one of the lowest percentage of red zone conversions in the NFL. How happy are you that Kareem Hunt's now on your football team?
It's honestly shocking. I would have never expected this because the Chiefs are in a bad spot without Kareem Hunt. Let's look at the box score while we're talking about it. As you can see, pass yards, 49ers had the edge. Rush yards, Chiefs obviously had the edge. 8 for 14 on third down. Chiefs just kept the drive alive. Other side, 49ers 2 for 11. If we were talking about this, I always highlight the third down, 2 for 11. And there's your mark right there, red zone. The Chiefs 4 for 5. Coming into this game, the Chiefs were one of the worst red zone teams in the league because they're a slowly move the ball downfield. It's not their fault they lost Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco. They're dealing with what they got. They can move the ball, but they get into the red zone where it's real easier to defend. It's hard to score in the red zone, and they've struggled. But today, they were able to manage. They were able to punch it in because, like you said, Kareem Hunt. I really can't imagine what this team would look like with Kareem Hunt. Did you ever think he would make this big a difference? He was sitting at home.
I know. It's quite absurd.
Ryan, he looks like a great starting running back in the NFL. It's not like, he's just doing good for the Chiefs. He looks terrific.
And to all the haters of Patrick Mahomes that says that, he is not a great quarterback or whatever, to your, I guess I'll agree with you in some aspect and say that, Patrick Mahomes isn't playing his best football this year.
Not at all. But you can make an argument to say he's playing the worst football of his career.
But what other team has lost so much talent capital and are able to still be the only undefeated team in the NFL? If I told you preseason that Pacheco, Hollywood Brown, and Rashee Rice would not be all together through, week 6, what would your record prediction be? It wouldn't be 6-0.
I would think best case scenario would be 4-2.
They're 6-0.
I know.
I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is throwing 10 interceptions a game. This defense is stepping up when it needs to, and they found a gem with Kareem Hunt that I don't think they meant to find. I think it was just kind of they stumbled upon it and said, this works.
Well, he started his career at Kansas City, remember? And then they cut him because of all the issues. And then, so I think it's just they needed someone, so they're like, all right, let's try. And you heard them saying like, he's on the practice squad, he's looking good, but he's running over 49ers linebackers.
The biggest stat that stood out to me here in this chart was third downs. 8 of 14. If you can, and this has been true through Patrick Mahomes' career, if you cannot stop Kansas City on third down, which they are, I believe to me, I don't know if this is true or factual or whatever, but to me, they are the hardest team to stop on third downs because they can hit you in those short yard conversions in so many ways. And Patrick Mahomes' pump fakes are deadly. The little flip passes, the shovel passes to the tight end, the pump fake to flip pass, it's like you're hitting 8 buttons on an Xbox controller, at once. It's like a combo move. You can't defend it. So, and that's what makes it so hard. And that's what makes it so hard because you spend all preseason thinking about week 6 when you're supposed to be guarding against Rashee Rice, Pacheco, and Hollywood Brown, and now all of a sudden you have nobodies, and yet they're still scoring points on you. So then you scratch your head and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Well, you're not accounting for the magician behind center. So third downs are, if you want to beat Kansas City, you have to stop their third downs. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, you got to get them off the field, and you got to have maintained drives. You got to keep Mahomes on the bench because Mahomes has shifted. And remember when we talked about this last year? Because in the year with the Eagles Super Bowl, the offense was still humming. Defense was great, but the offense was humming. Last year, I came on here after they, or even way before they lost to the Raiders on Christmas, and I told you, I said, the Chiefs have to just accept that they're a defensive football team. I said, Mahomes has to accept that he needs to play game manager. And he is. We saw him do that at the end of last year, and he's doing it now. It's like you look at his stats. Oh, his stats aren't great. Yeah, they don't have to be. Patrick Mahomes doesn't care about his stats. He doesn't care about awards. He cares about one thing, winning Super Bowls. So he's doing just the bare minimum, what he needs to do to get his team wins. And we talk about it every now and then, and still it seems like people overlook it. I'm just going to say it, and this is just fact, I think. Patrick Mahomes is the best scrambling quarterback in the NFL. Not running quarterback, scrambling quarterback. Obviously, Lamar's the best runner. Josh Allen's a great runner, whatever. But in those plays, it's just amazing. The way he always runs on the downs where you got to have it. That third down where he took up the sidelines and, like you mentioned, did the pump fakes, took off for 30 or something yards. I screamed. I was like, he's gone. He's gone.
You know who is coming in a close second to him this year, surprisingly?
Baker Mayfield?
That's it. I mean, as far as being elusive and like a scrambling quarterback, obviously Baker Mayfield is not a rushing quarterback by any means.
Right.
But to get out of a terrible situation in the pocket and get the yards for the first down, him and Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield are the two best to do it this year.
They'll both do what they need to do. If no one's open, they'll cut it down and run. Ryan, today, we saw Patrick Mahomes take it in and run over a corner
and looked at him as he fell down.
Lowered his shoulder and sent him to the shadow realm and said, clean my fucking shoes while you're down there. And the game was over at that point. The game was over at that point. He's just one of the best football players we've ever seen. The Chiefs continued to be the Chiefs. I think the 49ers are okay. They're just, you really see how different they are when they lose McCaffrey. It takes so much out of their offense.
Oh, sure. I mean, wouldn't yours?
I mean, it's mainly the red zone. Like, we talk about that, but that's where they struggle the most because of losing him.
It is the equivalent of losing Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It really is, because you build your whole game script around that. So tell me why that you think Jordan Mason is going to be that savior for you. I mean, he's a good running back and all, but he's not Christian McCaffrey.
But Christian McCaffrey's specialness, or his special ability, isn't just running. It's him as like a wide receiver. He runs wide receiver routes. He doesn't run routes like a running back. When he starts running out of the backfield, you have to treat him like a wide receiver. Yep. So if you've got a linebacker or somebody on him, they're getting torched. I don't care how good Jordan Mason is between the tackles. No running backs can do what McCaffrey does as a route runner. And that just, like you said, that just takes away a huge part of the offense.
This wasn't in the script, but I'm going to throw this out because we didn't really focus in on the 49ers really at all. So I do want to ask you, because we talked about it last segment about the 5 top NFC teams. The 49ers lost today. Odds are they're probably not getting Christian McCaffrey back. If they do, with a double Achilles injury, it will be probably toward the playoffs if they make it. As it stands right now in the NFC West, they have a pretty good shot at winning that. Seattle's probably going to give them a run for their money. We'll talk about
they have the
head-to-head
so far. Yeah.
Right. And so, how that will shake out at the end of the season, who knows? But where it stands right now, and I'm kind of going to ask you what we asked about the Texans. Are you confident? Where's your confidence meter on the 49ers, like, to finish out the season and get into the playoffs?
I feel the same way about the 49ers as I did this preseason. When we did our predictions, I thought they would take a bit of a step back, and they have. The 49ers aren't a Super Bowl team. They're not. Like, let's just be honest. Without McCaffrey, and today, Ayuk, I mean, that leg injury looked bad. I mean, it looked really bad. It looks like he's probably going to be out a while, maybe all season. I don't know. It was rough. So losing him, and it's not like he's been great, but losing him as well. Deebo Samuel, more of a gadget player. Ricky Pearsall came back, so hopefully you can start to inject him. Brock Purdy was terrible. I mean, he was god-awful. We know Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. I just don't think they're all together there. And maybe it's just, I don't know if it's just the McCaffrey thing or if it just starts to unravel. It just feels like And we talked about this in the offseason. It was such a loud and messy offseason for the 49ers. You know, remember, there was so much going on. There was so much commotion. It just felt...
Ayuk was on Instagram every day.
Exactly. It just felt out of whack. And that carries over into the regular season. Teams who lose the Super Bowl hardly ever make it back to the Super Bowl the next year. Will they make the playoffs? Probably. I still think they're a good team. They could win a playoff game, but I think that's kind of the ceiling this year. I really do.
I was looking at their schedule. So week 8, next week, they have the Dallas Cowboys. That's a game that I believe they should win. And it's at home too. Then they go on their bye week. But check this out. When they come back, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Green Bay, the Bills. That's a rough ride.
It is, but it doesn't feel like Tampa Bay has really crossed the threshold to like beat the Niners. You know what I mean? Obviously, we'll see how they do against Baltimore. We're recording this before the Baltimore game, but they own Seattle. So yeah. I feel like they can win both of those games. Maybe they lose to the Packers, and the Bills, the Bills aren't world breakers or anything. So I can conceivably see them winning all those games. They won't, but I don't feel like they're going into those games greatly outmatched.
They've already beat Seattle once. I don't see them sweeping Seattle.
I don't know.
A divisional opponent. It's just, it doesn't happen often.
But they kind of own them.
Well, yeah, maybe. But it is at Tampa Bay. I think that's kind of scary. And then it's at Green Bay as well and at the Bills. So you are playing on the road, and Brock Purdy is not the best on the road. So it's going to be interesting to see. These next 5 games are really going to tell us a lot about the 49ers and kind of where they stand for the rest of the season.
I agree, man. And last point, I'll tell you who needs to step up more than anybody, the defense. Their defense is just giving up too many points. They've got to get that fixed if they want to be a real contender.